I've doubled my super since October last year. Not by luck, but just by setting up the right way so I could finally invest into crypto.
It looks like he's set up his account and his portfolio has done pretty well, but certainly you will need some guidance around setting up your SMSF to make sure it's done correctly.
From 1 July 2026, employers are going to need to pay employees their superannuation at the same frequency they pay their wages.
Here's a little tax loophole your 60-year-old wrinkly self will thank you for.
The cheapest tax rate that you can get is a self-managed super fund.
I'll be opening up some social media content and providing some comments. Welcome to SMSF Insider, where we help busy professionals to gain financial independence using an SMSF. Hi, I'm Troy, founder of Blue Chip SMSF Services. And over the last 20 years, I've helped thousands of Aussies manage the complexities of self-managed super funds. And in this podcast, I'll answer your questions, break down the myths, so you can take charge of your financial freedom. Let's get into it. Okay, guys, and welcome to this edition of SMSF Insider.
This graphic, let me show you it in a second, was all over the news in the last couple of weeks about median superannuation balances for people at different ages. This one here, you no doubt saw it. Pause the video and you can line up your age with the median super balance. The numbers in this report were taken from this report that ASFA published in October, and it looks at median and average superannuation balances for both males and females as at June 2023. So the numbers are a couple of years old by now, but you can see median, if I go back to here, median and average. I'm not going to get into year 9 maths and talk about the difference between the median balance and the average balance. But a lot of press was then written about how low some of these balances were for older Australians that are heading into retirement.
Yep, so good article there where, certainly the older demographic, certainly I think are going to struggle coming into retirement. We do see a lot of the older demographic with not enough money to retire on. So it is something that we do see quite a bit of, and where we've got older Australians that really just can't afford to retire.
The big bit that was missing from all of the commentary though was this particular part here. And the main reason why those superannuation balances are as low as what they are. Superannuation was first introduced in 1992, and at that point, super contributions were only 3%. Larger employers had to pay 4%. Over time, that's increased. We had this big period of time through here.
Yeah, so the superannuation was only introduced in 92, so a lot of the older demographic were working, certainly well before then. So they haven't really been in the superannuation system for their whole working life. It was only a period of time, and certainly it was a much smaller percentage of their salary that was being contributed to super as opposed to now, which is obviously much higher.
Where super was at 9% and we're now at 12%. If I bring that back to here, it's this cohort of people here, 35 to 39, can I get the pen and draw? 35 to 39, these people and younger are the ones that have had the benefit of the superannuation system at least 9% of their income for their whole working life. So these are the people that were over the age.
Yep. So as I mentioned, the older demographic have only had superannuation for a small part of their working life and not the entire amount of their working life. So the younger demographic have had it for their entire working life, and it's been the percentage has been much greater. So come retirement time, they'll be in a much better position to retire. Yeah, so this doesn't obviously give a breakdown of SMSF versus retail and industry, but certainly it will just depend on, certainly the younger demographic will have a higher risk profile, have more growth assets in their portfolio, which will give them a greater rate of return over a longer period of time. But certainly it will depend on how those funds are invested.
If you've just done your tax return and you've earned over $250,000 for the first time this last financial year, you'll soon get a notice or a letter from the ATO for something called Division 293 tax. Now, Division 293 tax is an extra amount of tax you have to pay on your super contributions if you've earned over $250,000.
Yep, so Division 293, if you do earn over $250,000 a year, you'll know or be aware that you do need to pay an additional tax, and it is payable by your super fund. So if you are earning over that amount, you'll be aware of it. You will receive notification from the ATO, and you'll need to pay it. If you've got an SMSF, your SMSF administrator will help you get that payment paid. And certainly if you're in a retail or industry fund, they'll be able to help you through that process as well.
I've doubled my super since October last year. Woo! Not by luck, but just by setting up the right way so I could finally invest into crypto. Let me show you exactly how I did it legally and step by step. First, you have to set up a self-managed super fund with the ATO. You'll need a trustee, an ABN, and an account to fund that's in the same trust. I then had to roll over my existing funds into my new self-managed super fund account. I then had to write my investment strategy. You must mention digital assets and you must mention your risk approach. Then have to transfer your money onto an Australian compliant exchange.
So this guy is talking about establishing a self-managed super fund and investing in crypto. So it looks like he's set up his account and his portfolio has done pretty well by the sound of it in the last 12 months. But certainly you will need some guidance around setting up your SMSF to make sure it's done correctly, and also some guidance around setting up the account to purchase your crypto on the exchange. So get some guidance, speak to a professional, and make sure you get it right. So this gentleman has invested in the right time. He has, but certainly if you're investing in crypto, it's not always going to double. That's probably just he invested, got super lucky. So just be mindful that if you're investing in crypto, your account is not always going to double. Just quickly, guys, if you're a busy professional, fed up with traditional super funds and overwhelmed by the setup of your SMSF, we can help. Book in a call with my team using the link in the show notes, and let's build your future on your terms. Now, back to the episode.
Here's a little tax loophole your 60-year-old wrinkly self will thank you for. Now come and let me show you. So Jack Henderson has just set up the Flamingo Self-Managed Super Fund. Great name, I know. $250,000 is in the fund, and I make my $30,000 per year max concessional contributions that get paid out of my salary. Jack Henderson, which is me, is now 28 years old. Superannuation, if everything remains as it is right now, can be accessed from 60 years old, and it can go into pension phase. With my 250, I am going to go through, buy an asset inside of my self-managed super fund. Now, the asset actually goes into a bare trust for a period of time until the loan's paid off, but speak to your accountant about how all of that stuff works.
So Jack is talking about purchasing property using his self-managed super fund, perhaps having some leverage in there using a bare trust, and then waiting till retirement and the age of 60 and preservation age before he sells it, which will mean he'll pay zero capital gains tax.
The cheapest tax rate that you can get is a self-managed super fund. Any income that you earn in your SMSF is taxed at 15%. It's either taxed at 25% in your company or 30 to 45% in your sole trader name.
Yeah, so this gentleman is talking about a self-managed super fund or super in general, and how it is a low tax environment compared to any other structure, which is correct. Maximum tax rate is 15% if it's under 3 million, and if it's over 3 million, then it'll be 30%. But in retirement, it'll be 0% capital gains tax, provided it's less than 3 million. So yes, a great entity to use when investing long-term, a low tax environment, and certainly beneficial for the long term.
So if you're thinking about buying a investment property in your super fund, here's how it works. So buying a property in your super fund is pretty similar to buying an investment property in your own name. Very, very similar. The way it works is your super fund owns it. And what that means is all the expenses, all the income will stay and go into your super fund. It shouldn't impact your cash flow at all.
Yep, so purchasing property through your super fund, pretty common strategy that we see quite a lot, and all the expenses for that property are actually paid for by the SMSF. There's no out-of-pocket expense as such. All of the costs of running the property come out of your self-managed super fund and not out of your after-tax earnings. Yes, it is quite similar in terms of purchasing the property. You're still purchasing the investment property, you're just purchasing it in a different structure.
The payday superannuation legislation passed in Parliament yesterday, and what this means is from 1 July 2026, employers are going to need to pay employees their superannuation at the same frequency that they pay their wages.
So some recent legislation which was passed, as Roxanne has mentioned here, is that as of 1 July next year, 2026, there will be contributions to super will need to be paid at the same time that the wages are paid. So if you're paid on a weekly basis, your superannuation can be paid at the same time, as opposed to at the moment, it's paid no more than quarterly. Employers can pay quarterly, but moving forward, as of next year, it will need to be on a more frequent basis. I guess, what does that mean from an employee point of view? So it means you'll be receiving your contributions more regularly, which means you'll have access to those funds. All those funds will be working for you sooner rather than later.
Here's a strategy from GoPod Campus that needs a shout out, where he's set up superannuation funds for his children. No doubt it will be more likely invested in high growth because he's done it before they've turned age 10. If they are age 10, they cannot touch it for a full 50 years. This is the ultimate in long term. So they will hit age 60 and then they will be retired for another 40 or 50 years thereafter, given that they more than likely are young people. I've only seen one other person do this, and that was myself for this crew here.
Investing in, this gentleman, Rob, is talking about investing, setting up accounts for kids and investing over the longer term. So obviously you can't access funds until age 60. So 50 years of contributions and growth is what this gentleman's talking about, setting them up from age 10. It's a very early age to get started, which is great. I'm not sure we've heard of anyone doing it setting up super funds from age 10, but certainly investment accounts outside of super from a young age. But first I've heard of accounts being set up from age 10. So this gentleman is leaning on the fundamental of time in the market and as opposed to timing the market. So compound interest over 50 years will be a huge benefit to the benefits of to these young kids.
Before they were 10, they all had superannuation accounts. Now, the superannuation accounts do not need to be anything special. An industry fund will be fine.
I haven't heard of this strategy, setting up accounts for 10-year-olds. Well, that's a wrap for this edition of SMSF Insider. If you've got some comments or there's a particular topic you'd like us to chat about, drop a comment in the comment section below. And thanks for tuning in. Thanks for tuning in to this episode of SMSF Insider. If you got value from this, make sure you subscribe so you never miss the strategies we share to help you take control of your financial future. Find us on socials at Blue Chip SMSF or book a call with our team to see if we can help you.